as opposed to the Gemara in Pesachim, which mitoch shelo lishma balishma, it is not necessarily positive, but it's not negative. It's what we call parif, right? It's, I didn't do work on Shabbat and even on Erev Shabbat, not because anything good. I was just lazy. It was it's not pure negative. It's not like lazy and I was doing Maaseh Yisurim. It was just, I didn't feel like working. Even there, right, the chiddush of this Tosas already is how great already is mitoch shelo lishma, right? Even doing, quote unquote, a mitzvah in a sheva al taseh, it gets gadol ad l'shamayim, even for a parif. And obviously the other extreme, which I don't even think is the most extreme, which I'll explain in a second, but it's pretty bad, is what? It's pretty bad is the lolit yaher, is to do it in a very, very negative way, to show off, to shut down your friends, etc. What are other types of shelo lishma? So those are two things. There was one what I call pariv versus pretty negative. What else are the other types of shelo lishma maybe that you saw already, just because of time wise? Before we get to the Sfat Emet, what else? Just stam parv. Just stam doing something without even thinking about it.
Yeah, like because other people are doing it.
Because other people are doing it. What? Sheikhabduhu, that somebody should honor you. What else? Some intellectual pursuit. Okay. Did you see anything else? Wait, the other one, Tosfos and Tani, talked about to be called a Rebbe. The Rambam talked about to get schar. Right? To get a pras. Okay. Let's go to the most negative. What is the most negative way? Did anybody say, we didn't quote, I believe we didn't quote the most negative yet. We quoted what I would, if I would put a chart here, right? If I would put a chart, which I think I'm going to do, right? I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do it, right? Right? If I do it lo lishma, right? If I had this whole chart here from this being positive to negative, look at that. This is like, big stuff here, right? Positive to negative, right? The most negative so far, what we've seen is lihit yaher, right? Lekanter, right? Is there anything else that is more negative than this? If you look at Tosfos and Masechet Sota, I think he brings one other piece that is more negative. Tosfos and Sota says, what does he say? Anybody see that?
So you know that you're doing amazing?
What?
So you know that you're doing amazing, anyway?
Yeah. Okay, if you look at Tosfos and Masechet Sota on page 2, he asked the same question, and his answer is, just have to find it, towards the end, right? U'mesechet brachot, aval ahi shelo lishma de ta'anit, and mesechet brachot, which were the two really negative ones, right? If I had to look at it just to show you again, we're talking about when do we say mitoch shelo lishma, which we're going to define also, right? Ba lishma, right? If I misspelled that. Right? When are we saying that? We also have Noach lo shalo nivra. Right? We're trying to figure out how shalo nivra. Trying to figure out how these Gemaras work, and we also say it becomes a sam hamavis. How do these three statements stem? So you know what this Tosfos and Sota says? These last two, which is bracho and ta'anit. If I was in teacher school, I'd have like a different color. You know what I mean? That's why I got paid. That's why I got a master's. Right? The idea is what? So what is this about? These two, what does Tosfos say? His language is, why am I learning? Eino osek b'Torah k'dei lekayim lo me'ava lo miyira ela lahosif al chatato pesha she'ata shkagot na'aselo zdonot. Right? That I think is the worst. It's worse than this, I think. Right? What is the worst, I believe? Right? I'm doing it to be mosif al pesha. If I had to make this difference for this is in machshava. This is in my, this is in my here. I'm just thinking, this stuff is crazy. This is, I'm going hare ani muchan umzuman to do what? I'm going to learn Torah with Eitan. I'm going to learn Torah with Miss Haber. And what am I going to do? I'm going to continue I'm doing it in the order that I should eat on myself. I'm going to go eat a hamburger, not hamburger, a cheeseburger. right? During the shiur. You know, whatever it is. Yeah.
I don't think that Leityav or the Kantel is necessarily he thinks that it's crazy. He's just doing it in order to be in order to be able to put other people down. But he may agree with what he's learning. It's not necessarily that he doesn't believe in it. Maybe
Okay.
because he does, he's taking it.
I didn't say. I said this was in machshava. I said the difference why this is on the end of the, what's it called in English? Scale. That's good. You know what I'm saying? I'm in university here, so I have to get back my words here. Right at the end of the scale. This is, I'm doing it in order, and I'm going to be mosif al pesha, to do the chait. I'm going to take X, which might have been shogig now, I'm going to learn it more, and I'm going to be more lahachis. Here, I'm just doing it with an intention of being hubris, being arrogant, or just to, oh, you think you know what you're talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. You're a loser. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Forget it. Right? Okay. Now, even here, if we continue going on over here, so what else could be shalol lishma? I mean, again, so it could very well be, just to even start saying it, one of the first questions before we even define mitoch shalol lishma balishma, which we haven't fully defined it yet, is when do we apply it on this scale? We said to be called the Rebbe was another one. Rebbe, Kavod. What?
Out of habit, just doing it.
Out of habit, that would mean like stam.
Yeah, it's towards
Right?
positive sign.
A positive sign, like stam. Just say even stam. Right? I'm not sure if this should go over there. But here's another one. Do you see Rabbeinu Bachai? Rabbeinu Bachai says, quoting these Gemaras, what's the difference at the end of page 3? Top line, second line, excuse me. Lo kasha, kan lo usim lishma, kan lo usim shlo lishma kederav, the Amar Rav l'olam yasok adam b'tor mitzvot, v'afilu shlo lishman shemitoch shlo lishman bo lishman. Osim lishman, osim mi'ahava. Osim shlo lishman, the ones who don't do it mi'ahava, only mi'yira. Right, it's a much more higher scale, no? Masha amar b'brachot kol ha'usik b'torah shlo lishman, noach lo shlo nivra, Hu she'ino seklal ela miyira. Rabbeinu Bachai is saying, it's over here, but he's calling this yira.
But shouldn't it just be on the lower end of the lishma scale, not on the low lishma scale?
He calls that shalol lishma. He calls it shalol lishma. For us, it's like, I wish I can get to that. But he's saying, lishma is avat Hashem. Right? And he's saying, that is, shalol lishma is yira.
I don't know, we need both elements, both avat and yiras.
So the question is, what's pushing me? You're right, there is that piece. But what's pushing me? So right now he's saying, what's the shalol lishma? Yirat Hashem. And how I understand that last line, correct me if I'm wrong. How does he understand? Kol ha'usik b'torah shalol lishma noach lo shalo nivra hu she'ino seklal ela miyira. Sounds like to me that you're saying you need both elements. Sounds like when is it noach lo shalo nivra? Correct me if I'm wrong. But how I understand it is that that's what I do it out of yira. That's it. And that's already called noach lo shalo nivra. If you're not trying to get to the ahava, right? Then already that's yira over here.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense because they say a lot of times that you're first and then you come to avat.
That's a lot of times we say that. But what he's saying is all you need is yira, meaning the shalol lishma element. Okay? Yeah.
Tosos disagree with that. He uses the pasuk of Hashem to.
Which Tosfot? There's a lot of Bali Tosfos here.
The one in Sota.
The one in Sota, when he quotes the last piece, right? He's quoting that same Gemara in Brachot. What? He's quoting Reishiv Chachma Yirat Hashem. He's quoting that Yirat Hashem. Right? I think so also. Meaning I think that piece is the most strict. Meaning Rabbeinu Bachai is the most strict. And that's really the question. The question is, at what point do we say mitoch shalol lishma balishma? How I would say it is, how strict do you get? I mean, Rabbeinu Bachai seems to be the most strict, right? The only way you say mitoch shalol lishma balishma is what? Is if the lo lishma is yirah, right? Rabbeinu Bachai. But let's say for him, right? According to Rabbeinu Bachai, if I'm learning to be a coveted Rebbe, do I say mitoch shalol lishma balishma? No. But why would I? Why? What's so bad about this? The stam. the covet of a Rebbe. This I can understand. This part I can understand. L'tiaher l'kanter I can understand. Mosif al pesha I can understand. What's so bad that I wouldn't say? Why is Rabbeinu Bechai so from here? Right? That you don't say that you say mitoch shalol. You don't say mitoch shalol lishma ba lishma over there. Now again, what also, if you look at it, and this could be part of the answer already, is can you make a distinction between these two Gemaras in itself? What's the focus on here? When I'm learning Shalol Lishma, Noach lo Shalo Nivra, and I'm making Naseit lo Torah, just as a hint, Sama Mavis. What's the difference?
The second one's worse.
Why is it worse?
Because he's using the Torah and turning it into a negative thing.
Well, first define for me before we say worse. What's the difference between the two? What's the focus? What's the difference of the focus? At least what I think.
First one is
Torah, you're turning Torah into something.
Right? This one is turning Torah into
No,
death.
and the first one is
You.
You as an
Right?
individual.
I think that's the difference, right? The first one, if I'm not mistaken, the focus is on what's called the person, the gavra. Right? It's talking on the person. Focus is on the person. Versus here, it's on what we call the chefza. Right? The problem is what you're doing to the Torah, what we would call a zeal for the Torah. You're taking the Torah, which is supposed to be Torah Chaim, and you're making it into Mavis. So now, if this is true, right? If that distinction is true, it might help us to understand, right? Which one of these is much, right? Rabbeinu Bachai has a very strong, right, definition, whichever one he goes to. But again, for example, in the most extreme way, right? If you're being Mosif al Pesha, you might say Noach lo Shalo Nivra. That might be true. But in the clearest of sense, what you're doing is you're taking the Torah, which is supposed to be a vehicle of life, and you're doing what to it? You're making it as a chefza shel misa, right? So that I could fully understand. If I went back to my question, can I learn with this guy who looks, doesn't look so kasher kidin? Am I worried what he's going to do? So I could say that this from here would be, if I'm focusing just on the chefza, I would say the Tosfos and Sota, that, if a guy I know literally is coming, with a cheeseburger in his mouth with me, I'm saying, to learn Musar with me, right? Mesilas Yesharim, and he's eating with a cheeseburger. I'm saying? I probably wouldn't feel so good about it, right? Even if we would sell this kiruv piece, as opposed to, if I'm worried that the guy is an arrogant guy or girl, right? So it could very well be that, okay, if it's a Sama Mavis, I'm not so sure, but if I'm looking at the Gavra, I'm looking at the kiruv element, then maybe it's not Noach lo Shalo Nivra. Maybe I could say that this would only be the Sama Mavis. But maybe if a person, I see them that they're not, they might have the wrong intentions, but maybe a nafkamina could be, I have Gesher. It's not in here, right? It's in Hebrew you, right? Can I say that here? Right? You know what I'm talking about? In Hebrew you have chavrutot together, and it's not for that we're all going to be going to yeshiva right after. They're learning together. They're learning the Bible together, right? Dati, Chiloni. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Nobody else knows any of these things here? Look it up. Gesher. They have these things. What? Not Rabben Shilevin. I don't think it's Rabben Shilevin. He's in charge of it? It could be. It could be Ben Shilevin. Modeh. So it could very well be in that type of thing. It might not be that bad. L'tiaher or l'kanter. But I think to be able to answer the question more again is that if you looked at the Rambam, for example, the Rambam, did he bring down l'tiaher or l'kanter? He didn't bring down these two, right? He didn't bring down these two, right? Hello? The Rambam didn't bring down these two. So for him, these two are off the chart, right? It's only these things you can do mitoch shalol lishma.